Well, hi, good morning. Welcome so much to my shop here. Just going to recap where I am with this radio. Still at the very early stages of discovering its condition and what might be wrong with it. And what I've run up against is there's no volume coming out of it. There's a very, very, very weak sound. If I pile in a high enough signal into the antenna, I can hear a little wee something out of a speaker that I've connected. It's got its own speaker. This speaker seems to be one sick puppy, and I doubt this is going to be useful in any way in the condition it's in. So I've been experimenting with an alternate speaker. This one, this is a pretty crappy little speaker too. But this has served me well in previous projects. Even though it's a piece of junk in itself, it can still test. The result is, at this point, I don't know why this radio still produces minimal volume. So next step along the way, and I came in here last night and I performed this test and had to send a note to the owner saying I think there's another serious problem in this radio. So unfortunately things are going downhill instead of uphill with this guy. That's often what happens at the start of doing a repair or restoration of a radio is you sort of find out one thing after another that's actually wrong with the radio. One of the scary parts about doing that, until you get to the end of the list of everything that's wrong, there can be something in that list that is essentially insurmountable. So there may be a couple of those in here already. One is the cracked metal casted parts here, which we will look at much more closely eventually, but we know that this is a disaster waiting to happen here, or perhaps it's a disaster even now. And the speaker appears to be shot for a couple of reasons. It just seems to be a hopeless case to try to get that to work. Now I'm going to add one more thing into the list of unfortunate stuff. So the signal comes out of this radio to reach the speaker through a transformer. I'm suspicious that transformer may be defective too. So to test it in the simplest way possible, I've simply hooked up my meter here to the speaker output leads. These are the leads that would go to the voice coil of the speaker, or go to this speaker. And what I would expect to find, and I'm not terribly experienced at this, I would expect to find something 8 to 10 ohms, perhaps much, much higher. But I wouldn't expect it to be much under 8 to 10 ohms. There's a transformer with a fair bit of wire in it. That's what I'm thinking. Now, maybe I'm wrong about this, so I'm going to have to investigate a bit, but let's test it. So I'm on the 200 ohm scale, 1.5 ohms. Oh, and that is roughly the same reading I got when I tested the voice coil on the speaker. Now, I just don't know that output transformers and speakers were ever built down in this range of 1.5 ohms. It just doesn't seem right to me. But you know what? When I'm looking at this is a low resistance reading. You can be fooled really easily. I could be reading the resistance of the clip leads I'm using. So I'm going to try to resolve that by just shorting the clip leads out back here and see if I don't get 1.5 again. Let's see what we get here. What the heck? Exactly why you would short clip leads out and get a reading like this. We got to go right to square one. We got to start at square one. Is the meter working right? That's about as right as it's going to get. So zero resistance here. I got bad clip leads again. You see, I'm facing problems here with this radio that if I accept my current thinking, then I may as well stop working on this radio. That's where I'm at. So I'm really anxious to find out I'm just all wrong. So this one's reading 0.7. I think I'm going to have to commit to repairing all my clip leads because this is really starting to interfere with my efforts here. Let's try this with some better clip leads. As if I have any. Better clip leads. Brand new clip lead. Crazy, eh? Okay, heck with the clip leads. I'm going to put this meter right back there. So we know with the clip leads shorted on the meter we get a 0.1, and now I'm reading a 0.2. You know, that really is screaming out a 0. It's screaming out that the output transformer has a short on the secondary side. At least that's what I hear in my ears. This is a bad deal. Let's think about this. You got a speaker that seems to be shot. Output transformer seems to be shot. Those two things, you know, I don't know, they come together. It's a little like a chain, right? And you're going to pull on a chain, only one link is going to break. The chance of breaking two links simultaneously, really small. Although, you know what? You pull on a chain hard enough to break a link, you will have bent and distorted every other link in that chain. That's what I think. So maybe an event took place with this radio. Perhaps somebody repaired this speaker. The voice coil on it appears to have no resistance. Let's double check that. You hook it up with no resistance. They hook up the speaker with no resistance in the voice coil. That drops far too heavy a load on the output transformer. It's basically a short. Output transformer overheats while the person is trying to hear sound come out of the speaker. He doesn't see the smoke coming out of the radio. That heats the windings up in the transformer to the point where the insulation on the windings fails and a short circuit occurs. So a short circuit on the secondary side of the output transformer will then deliver, and it already would have delivered just from the bad speaker, a heavy load further into the radio, only putting more and more stuff at risk as the poor radio tries to dump as much as it can into these short circuits. Oop, got my soldering iron out and didn't turn it on. So I'm going to lift one wire here, and then we'll be able to test for sure the voice coil resistance in here. We'll get this lead off because a couple of you have suggested, and it's always possible, that there's a short somewhere in this wire. Now, my personal examination of it suggested that's not the case, but if you look at how this is all breaking in here, the outer insulation is failing. All that's left is some cotton threads that are wound around it, and look, they're brought close together right in here. It looks fine. So I'm not buying that story, but how did my cat's toy get up here on my bench? I know how. Okay, so we'll lift one of those wires. like I say, you know, this is a big deal. We're talking about death of a radio here, potentially. Or maybe another way of looking at it is it's a major effort to resuscitate this radio. I'd like to find out that's not the case. There we go, he says, whispering to himself. Now I need to offer an apology. A couple of videos ago I said something I shouldn't have said. I said Fleetwood Mac is a Canadian band. Now I haven't read comments on that video. I've been a little too busy to keep up with comments. I apologize because I insulted both the United States and Britain at the same time by claiming Fleetwood Mac is a Canadian band. Fleetwood Mac is half British, half American. But if you think about it, I'm quite right then, because if you're half British and you're half American, then on average, you're Canadian. So there you are. I was right all along. Fleetwood Mac was an extremely popular band here in Canada, and I'm sure in other parts of the world too. I'm sure. Back when I was just a little bit younger. So I apologize if I disturbed you by trying to steal your band. Canada's got lots of great bands. We don't need to steal any. Okay. Let's measure this thing now. Now that I have repaired the pain in my soul. Yeah, I found that out by saying to my wife that evening after mentioning that on a video about that band. I said, yeah, is Fleetwood Mac Canadian? No. Okay, so we're going to measure the resistance of the voice coil. There we go. Hoping for 8. We want to see 8. You want to see 8? Can you see that? It's 0.6 is what that's showing. 0.6 ohms. It's not quite 0, but really, I just can't imagine that. Well, that confirms everything anyway. Now, what are we going to do about the output transformer? How do I know for sure that it's shot? How do I know? How do I know? How does he know? He doesn't know. I have to read up a little bit. Get another output transformer. I may have one. I may have 1, 2, or 3 of them, believe it or not. I may have something that, if necessary, I can install in this radio. The real challenge would be finding it. That would be the real challenge. So maybe I should not panic yet. Are we at the point now where I've got to take this radio off the board and get up underneath it, see what's going on? Can I do any more with it like this? Since I can't produce any audio output with it the way it is, I can't really do much more with it up here. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything more except get under it. Now, how are we going to do that? Just, so I can tip it this way. The power cord is back there. Don't like that. Don't like that idea of tipping it. So what I'm going to do, you see, are these two pieces bolted together? I don't think so. I'm going to guess this chassis and this chassis are bolted to the board, and that's what's holding them together. If I release them from the board, they're going to be a little wobbly. Wouldn't matter if they weighed half a pound each, but that's not what these things weigh. They weigh a lot. So if I separate them and start moving them around, I got a really good chance of damaging something. And what would I damage? I would damage this. Damage this part. Should I bother unbolting all this? My fingertips are searching for the answer. I don't think so. I think I should try to maintain it just like this, together. Release the bolts underneath, slide it off the board, try and keep it together. Try and tip it. Which way are we going to tip it here? Boy, I don't think I can tip it up like this. That sounds scary to me, but here's where all the weight is. So you want to tip it with the weight down. So I would tip it forward. I can't do that. I got all these knobs here. Tip it backwards. There's two things on the back over here that interfere, the cord and the field coil plug, but you know what, I can tip this thing sideways with this piece hanging over the end of my bench. Okay, that's the plan. Let's take a look underneath here. Okay, so feel the big screws here. Big screws here, so those are the 4 corner screws for this piece, and probably the same thing going on here. 2 more, one here, one here, and then one, something there. What's that? Two here. There's a hole. Okay, so this is bolted on here. I can tip this up. It's not going anywhere. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what I was feeling were these holes through which the carriage bolts come up to hold this board in the radio chassis. So there's nothing important about these holes here. One great big screws. I can easily take those out with this hanging over the edge of my bench. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'll do that off camera. I'm making such long videos these days, so I'll get the screws out of there. Okay, last one. Now, I think I just push it off. Not so easy. What's holding it here? Doesn't appear to be anything holding it. There we go. Just must be catching on little pieces of metal. There we go. Piece of wood. Look at that, after all those years. Of course, it's been sitting on another piece of wood. Pretty straight stuff. It spent its time bolted to a metal frame. I shouldn't be surprised. Now we need to tip this. And remember, there was something at the back here. I need to swing this around. Oh boy. Tip it up like this. What's going to happen? I'm going to tip it up and it's just going to keep going, because these weights, this thing here, is just going to keep this baby going. So it's going to crash into this. This is nothing. Get it out of there. Is it just going to fall right over? I think there's a huge chance I put this on its back, and if I let go, it's just going to keep going because of this. So I'm going to need to put something under this to keep it there. Let's see what kind of goodies I've got. perfect, right there. So if I have this sitting like that, that should solve it. Good show, good show. Okay. This piece is hanging over here. Whoa! Okay, let's get it done. Could you bring my extra hands in here, please? Okay, now if I let go, will it go? Yeah, it certainly will. Okie dokie, that's not bad. Now we're going to see some stuff. Now we are going to see some stuff. It's going to be a little tough. A lot of the stuff is up under here. Very old paper capacitor here. Paper capacitor here. So it's full of old capacitors. So this has not really been worked on much, I think. Here's, what are these guys here? Let's get going with the other camera. I think we're going to see a lot more. I'm going to need a lot of light because everything is black in here. So there has to be, or there should be, an output transformer in this radio, and I have the feeling this is the output transformer, these two guys together. Can it really work like that? It was a, on the schematic, it's a center tapped transformer on the primary side. Can you do that with two separate transformers? Maybe you can, just because the two halves of the winding are in two different cans. I don't know if that really matters. I think this may be the equivalent of a single center tap transformer. They're on angles here, but I think that's just because they tried to fit them into the radio. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these aren't the. Maybe they aren't. So I think what we'll do, I should do before I start getting too involved with these. Let's just look around inside this radio and see what we can see here. We'll take a tour. So first, bottom of the power supply. We'll skip these two transformers for now. So we see this kind of a deal here. Friction tape, which was the electrical tape of the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And believe it or not, this stuff actually has pretty good life to it. It gets hard, it gets totally rock hard in the end like this. But why is that there? Because some previous person, this is not how it came out of the factory. They don't do this in the factory. Some previous person cut this wire and attached this wire. And where's this going? This is going up to the defective switch. We can guess that that switch is not the original switch. Let's see the other wire. Where's the other wire? Okay, so the other wire is here. Where's it going? It goes up on top, so it's going through. It's going through this hole here. Put my finger on it, and maybe I can kind of identify it from the top, looking down. Okay, so if there's 4 holes there, it's the one on the right. And the wire, wow, everything is black. eyes here. Okay, so I gotta do this with my own eyeballs. Hang on one second. What I'm looking for is another bunch of friction tape. I don't want to tip the whole thing back. Okay, so I can't really see, I can't really find it up there. But, well, you know what this might actually really show is a new power cord's been installed, and that's really what this might show. So I'm looking for any evidence of anything. Wow, look at this thing. You know, as I stand here in the shop, I can't see this part. It's hidden up under the apron. Wow. Okay, so this kind of metal can guy here, this is not vintage. This can't be. I don't think this can be as old as the rest of the radio. Got a nice clip in there. How do they mount the clip? This nut. Look at that. Somebody's taken the screw where it protruded here, and they've cut it off, and then they've sanded it down so that there's nothing sticking out. And kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, look at this now. Okay, this is a bit of an oddball. These two holes are mysterious. There's two more here that are also mysterious. What was in here that was removed? We go a little further down. We get to this control, and this is just a little odd too. These screws, see, they're hexagonal screws with a slot. Look at every other screw in here. Every other screw is your classic round head screw. Where did the two hexagonal screws come from? Is this a replacement? Didn't I say something about it looks like this radio has not been worked on? Why? I mean, this is not the kind of thing you replace early in a radio's life. I don't know, just guessing. Just trying to guess. So let's just look at where these are underneath here. So was there something there? Was there a bracket there holding a large, square, little capacitor? Which somebody came along and removed that, popped in this clip with this nut, drilled a hole to put that nut there, and then put in this capacitor. So see, all these wires are flying through space to reach it. They don't look right. None of this looks right. This is not how radios are built in factories. They don't do this kind of thing. This wire's pulled tight here. There's a terminal not connected to anything on the back of this capacitor. Can we read the ratings on it? They're hidden from view. Yeah, I don't know if this is a 2-part, 3-part, 10-part capacitor. Wow, okay, that's interesting. I'm willing to bet this is a replacement. Get your money out. Put your money down. Okay, let's just keep around, see what we can see. So those two terminals we're looking at, that's the output to the field coil. Oh. No, it isn't. No, that's the output to the speaker. That's right, the field coil is over here. This is the field coil there. Just tracing the wires around a bit. Okay, so that's the actual voice coil terminals. Those two brass things down there. You see one. Let's see, it comes up, hooks up just to this transformer. Those wires have been yanked. Look at that. So those wires were originally stuck down against the side of this transformer, but they aren't anymore. They've been pulled up. This one's pulled up enough that the copper wire from inside is now exposed. This one, I wish I could point, the one dead center of the screen there. What's that tell you? That tells you this guy was somewhere else once. See how it's bolted in there? I wonder if we looked, if we start to realize that those holes and nuts that are holding this transformer are not original, that they were additionally drilled in. And so we have a larger transformer sitting in this space, and somebody's done something. Okay, so if this is the output transformer, what is this? Yeah, see how I get around the back of it here. It's a great day for small cameras. In the dark, gotta get a light in there. What I'm looking for now is the other side of the transformer leads. What am I seeing there? Okay. Here, let me help you with perspective for a moment. Get an idea what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Taking this camera, shoving it way back in here like this, trying to look at the back side of this using this flashlight. That is what is going on. This one's the one we're looking at. This is the wires that appear to have been pulled off of here, but they could never have been connected there and run down here. I don't think that's ever possible. It makes me think this transformer is from another planet. Oh, these wires are, well, they're really heavy. This is a heavy wire. I'm showing it with this camera, but you're not looking there. This wire is the kind of wire that's inside here. And yeah, you could read an ohm or two off of that. That's exactly what I was reading. I was reading the resistance of these wires going into this coil. Okay, let's go back to trying to see him behind. Really working the camera in there. Okay, what are we looking at? We're seeing kind of the back, we're actually seeing the top of the deck of the radio here. I'm not getting the camera around far enough. I don't know if I can figure out what I'm seeing. I can't identify any wire. Oh, maybe maybe one there. No, I can't be sure that any of the wires I'm seeing are coming out of this transformer. I just can't be sure here. There's no other way short. Oops. Getting the flashlight and the camera confused. I'm trying to show you stuff with the flashlight here. There's just nothing that could short out those leads, except for the winding here. See how big that wire is there? Look at that. Right there. That's a big fat wire. Okay, what about the other one? There's another one. So how's that work? The two transformers, they kind of look identical, except look, one is smaller than the other. They're not identical. Clearly, here's the two wires coming out. This one goes up to the capacitor. Now, if we assume this capacitor is part of the power supply filter system, then that starts suggesting that this is an inductor. This guy here. It's got one wire in, one wire out. What about the other side? The other side is more easily visible. Oh no, there's the transformer. There's the other wire going. So, yeah, and back there is another wire coming out. I'm pretty sure that brownish one. So this guy's certainly a transformer. Well, I gotta really say that from what I got in my head from the schematic we looked at earlier, this doesn't add up at all. Starting with the fact that the voice coil leads, the voice coil terminal comes back to just this one transformer. And there's no other wires, is there? Maybe I missed it. Maybe there's another wire coming to those terminals and I didn't see it. Really carefully here. So that one terminal, it looks like it has one wire coming to it, and this upper one wire, both coming from here. So we could be in the realm of somebody did something to make this radio work, and it didn't work. That's one possibility. Number two is some crafty guy who knew what he was doing to keep the old radio working was able to cobble together parts in a pattern which again made the radio work, maybe not the way it was intended. I can't imagine this radio was repaired as a viable appliance in a person's home much into the early 1930s, because the owner would be faced with a decision about putting money into this radio, which is a crappy sounder anyway, as opposed to the newfangled super heterodyne radios that were coming out in the 30s. So the last time this thing would be worked on commercially by somebody would have probably been in the early 30s. And in situations where these kinds of parts are, original parts are damaged, that's what's happened here. The original transformer here got blown away. You can see a guy in a shop full of tired old parts from all these 1920s radios managing to cobble something together to get this thing going again, and saying to the owner, it won't cost you an arm and a leg, in order to continue the repair of these old 1920s radios. I'm just making all this up. I'm just trying to fathom how do we get like this. So okay, so bottom line, we don't know that this is a transformer yet even, but it has to be, otherwise it's doing absolutely, there's nothing connected. If this is a choke coil, wow, that's bad news. This one's clearly a transformer. Where does the output go? Where does those output wires go? So this goes over to Okay, so let me get a pointer here, because I know what I'm looking at all the time, but you don't necessarily know. So we're going to try to follow that wire. Which one? No, I can't get a pointer in there. Can I get a pointer in there? Okay, this wire right here. See, it just goes to a tube base. This is one of the 71As. Okay, that's pretty revealing. The other side, the other wire. Wow. The other wire. Now, this isn't really any easier to do with just looking straight at it with my eyeballs. I think it's that brown thing, and it comes up and it appears to tie to the other 71A. So, you know, that's a strong indication that this is the output transformer. So what's going on then? These leads, the output from here, assuming that's what's on this side, this is the output, which would normally drive the voice coil, is maybe, I don't know, you know what? I'm just assuming so many things, because this is the output. I don't think so, because this wire comes up, goes to a capacitor. Clearly, I'm not getting exactly what's going on with these. But if this is the transformer that's hooked up to the output tubes, then and this thing is hooked up to the speaker leads, then something's got to get from here to here, and it could be happening all in behind there where I can't see it. If it were real easy, I'd flip this radio over again and look at the back and the way these things are bolted. I don't know. Got lots of stories in my head. We'll have to just carry on and sort them out. Let's take a look at underneath the receiver here. Yeah, so very old wax capacitors, not looking to be in great shape. These could even be replacements from so long ago they look old again. Made in Canada. Maybe original, maybe not. We got 8200. There's a value marked right on the resistor. That's great. That resistor doesn't look that old. This orange one here. That little box down here is almost certainly a capacitor. Maybe a large value non-electrolytic capacitor, like a 0.1, something like that. That's probably a 0.05. Now we're getting into some pretty interesting stuff. Now, what is that? That looks like part of a rheostat. Oh, it is. Oh, look at that. So this is the back apron down here. So the radio is sitting on its back, on its, I guess I really can't say it that way. It's sitting on the back apron. And this is a screw, like a hole in the back. You can stick a screwdriver through and turn that control. When you turn that control, it's hard to see here. You rotate that slider inside there. There it is. You can see to rotate the slider and vary the resistance. Now I did see on the schematic it looked like a variable resistor hidden away. What the heck would that be for? I'll have to look on the schematic again. So that's surprising in a way. I don't know for sure what that might be. More old beat up capacitors. Is this an airborne thing here? Yeah, look at that. These are all soldered together in the air. Again, this is just not how they tend to do things in a factory setting. Okay, when you look at the connection there from this yellow capacitor, so I can steady my hand a little bit better. What is going on there? I was going to say it looks like looks like there was an original part cut away. The lead wire was left soldered to the chassis, and the new capacitor was soldered to the lead wire. It's kind of what it looks like. You got this thing, this metal box here. This is probably another large value capacitor. I'm pretty certain that's what that is. Probably a 0.1. Might be a 0.5 even. So here's a sealed tight capacitor, a different make from the one right beside it. Again, in the factory environment, you're going to tend to put in the same make of parts. You're buying them in bulk from a supplier. What is that? Now that these look like capacitors here. I'm having trouble pointing these. And this looks like a resistor right around. This could be. Yeah. What is this? Ooh, what's that? Oh, don't move it. That's a coil. That's kind of weird. That's I'm going to turn the camera upside down. Yow. So there's a great big coil. I'm going to have trouble moving the camera sensibly now because it's like working in a mirror for me. So that's bizarre. Now that is out there ready to begin damage. The little tiny wires coming from that coil, which I moved, is loose. That's a kind of an odd thing. Okay, moving further down the line. I'm going to flip the camera back over because it's just going to help me carrying on down the line here. There's another capacitor there stood up on its end. I think the mystery with this radio at this point, the hurdle to jump, without a doubt, is all about these two transformers here. So I think off camera I'm going to study the heck out of these guys and see if I can't resolve what is going on with them. Never put it past somebody to do something clever to keep these guys alive. Hey, that's got to be me now. Okay, well, oh, I didn't really look through the top here. Okay, we're almost finished. Nope. So there's one of the parts that's potentially cracked. To get a good view of the back side of it. We'll be looking at that stuff really closely at some point. Got kind of a wild resistor here. He's wild. It's wild. Okay, so here's the back of the what I've been calling the volume control. You know, this might not even be making electrical contact. So what is it, a wire? When I turn this, I'm turning this up here, it feels as if it's not making contact at all. Usually you can feel the slider bumping over the surface of the wires. It looks okay. Let me get in a little closer. I think I can take the focus closer yet. Let's see. Let's see if I can get the camera in that close. Focus just a little too well. There's a chance that that slider is actually not touching anything. It just feels so smooth. You know what I can do here? I'm going to stick my finger on it. I was hoping I could feel it move a little bit, but no. By the way, there's a super view of the top. So we looked at this piece on the back. Looks kind of okay. On the top, that's the cracking. Look at that. Yeah. Let's not get into this too soon, but whoop. That is bad. Bad, 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 bad. Get away, get away. What is this? What is this metal can here? I've got the focus up so close. Let's look at this other control. We'll look at this one. Oh! It's in a box. Okay, let me change the focus again a little bit here. Okay. And if you can see the top of this thing. So I don't know what this is. I don't know how this, what's going on there. See that thing move? So I'm doing this now. I'm turning this a long ways. This goes around. Watch. 180, 360. Wow, that's kind of weird, eh? It's got a pretty solid stop this way. You know, this control feels like it's loose. Loose on the, loose on whatever it's supposed to be rotating back up above this plate here. So I'm turning it. And see that thing, whatever it is barely moving. Something wrong in there. What is this? I don't know. Now we're pretty close to looking at the nuclear reactors. Huh. It's just going to remain a bit of a mystery for now. What exactly is going on inside here? I'm going to get a look in this way. Okay, now the nuclear reactors. So I wonder if these three cans are a set of RF coils that transmit the signal from successive stages, starting at the front end of the radio where the antenna is. The signal kind of goes through the tube, comes through the transformer, goes through the next tube, comes through the transformer, goes through the next tube, comes through the transformer that is in here. So these, I was just going to say, these can't be bolted in place. How could you ever get them out? So it looks like these are just slid down over a sleeve here. So you can actually lift these up. Can you get them out of the radio? Wow, I bet you can't. I bet you cannot tip these out. Chances are the coils under here really don't need any of my attention anyway. Chances are they're fine. There's nothing in there. There's nothing to see under here, so I won't worry about those. And certainly there's no indication that there's a problem there. The indications are it's all happening down here. Down here. Okay, that be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I may be back in here again later today. Who knows? I'm going to go think about all this stuff for a while. Thanks so much. See ya.